Hello there and welcome, this is Mikhail or Michael speaking, and before the video starts I want to say thank you all who supported me all throughout this month, both financially and by leaving kind comments. Thank you all for your support, I really appreciate it. Thankfully I found a way to help myself when it comes to health, and I believe that I am ready to resume my work on YouTube. Again, thank you all for your support, and hopefully I'm here to stay. First things first, let's discuss situation within the Kursk Oblast, where Russian forces continue their offensive operation, attempting to draw Ukrainians out of Russian lands and secure the Russian border once and for all. A especially interesting situation is developing around this monastery. Ukrainian forces decided to use this religious facility as a significantly defended stronghold. As you can see to the south, this stronghold is defended by Psel River, while to the north and west defended by this relatively big forest. The only opening which Russians can use is either here through this road or here through this road as well. If we are to zoom out and assess the situation, we can see that Russians are currently attacking in the direction of this road right here, but due to the fact that this area is extremely open, their advances here are somewhat hindered. As you can see, not only do they have to cross the field, they also need to establish a foothold in this forested area, and as of the time of recording, Russians were unable to do so. However, where they have seen some success is along the Psel River, advancing along this road here. As you can see, this opening is much smaller, and Russians can easily pass over it and start fighting for this forested area in support of Russian assaults already ongoing towards the monastery and the forest from the north. I also have a video for you which shows Russians firing upon Ukrainian positions located within one of the buildings of the monastery complex. If we are to zoom out and see where that was, we would see that the projectile was fired somewhere from the east, flew past the church, and hit Ukrainian positions within this particular building. And perhaps as I speak, fighting not only within this forest, but also for the monastery had begun. Now from Kursk Oblast, let's move all the way to Kupansk frontline and quickly discuss territorial changes here as well. Russian forces had made small advances on this narrow road and captured this small stretch of the territory, advancing slowly and carefully along the many open fields in this area. From here, let's move slightly to the south and discuss situation that is currently developing around Ukrainian-controlled village of Stipova Nasilifa. Within the last 48 to 24 hours, Russian assaulted Ukrainian position both to the south and north of the village in an obvious attempt to envelop and encircle Ukrainian formations within said village, also acquiring more and more control over this road, which will allow them to reach the intersection, which in turn will open new paths not only for more successful assaults to the flank and rear of Ukrainian formations defending this village, but also starting a new advance towards the village of Peshchane. From Kupansk, let's move further to the south and discuss recent Russian advances on the general Leman frontline. As a result of successful offensive actions on the northern portion of this frontline, Russians were able to advance ever slightly to the northeast of Mihalifka, and as a result, this portion of the frontline came in under Russian control. As you can see, with it, not only Russians advanced ever slightly towards Grekivka, but what's most importantly, increased the buffer zone around vital village of Mihalifka. As of right now, we remain on this front line and discuss recent Russian advances in the direction of Mihalifka. Here, Russians used the village of Katerinivka as a base to attack Ukrainian positions located in the western portion of Mihalifka, as well as used this forested area and assaulted Mihalifka from this flank as well. Both of these attacks were highly successful, and as a result, these portions of the front line came in under Russian control. If we are to zoom in here, we can see that Russians successfully advanced within these force lines, inching ever closer towards the village of Mihalifka, and perhaps as I speak, the battle for the village had already started. When it comes to this portion of the front, however, not only did Russians gain ability to attack the village from this flank as well, they also solidified their positions to the west of Ukrainian-controlled village of Rytkadub. Now let's move further to the south and discuss big Russian advance here in this area. As a result of successful assault in the direction of Zelena Dalina, Russian forces were able to make a breakthrough, and as a result, this relatively big chunk of territory came in under Russian control. With it, as you can see, not only did Russians advance towards Zelena Dalina, but also made a very successful attempt at reaching this road here and flanking Ukrainian defenders within the village of Nove. With previously discussed successful Russian gain here in this area, and in addition with these new Russian assaults, Ukrainian formations within the Nove village will soon find themselves in a fire pocket and a semi-encirclement. From this portion of the front line, let's move all the way to Konstantinovka, to be more specific, its southern flank, where as a result of successful storming operations, Russian forces fully captured the village of Yelizavetivka. It seems that they didn't stop at that, and almost immediately went on the attack towards the village of Miralubivka. In total, these were the territories Russians captured within the last 24 hours. Russians also advanced elsewhere on this front, and it happened here near the village of Sukhabalka, where as a result of successful storming operations to the west and east of this water reservoir, this sector of the front line came in under Russian control. As you can see, Russians were able to establish a foothold within the village of Sukhabalka, as well as successfully covered their flanks to the west of it, with Russians now controlling a shoreline of this reservoir. They have good overall fire control over the rest of the village, which will hinder Ukrainian ability to defend from the Russian attacks. If Russians are to continue to advance along the west bank of reservoir, they will soon reach this road and will able to attack Ukrainian formations within the village from the flank and rear, thus capturing the village in its entirety. Now, at the very last, let's discuss the situation around Toretsk city. Here, within the last 24 hours, Ukrainians counterattacked and were able to regain control over the industrial plant, re-entering the city of Toretsk from northwest. It is also important to note that with the control over this industrial complex and with constant harassment of Russian flanks from the Ukrainian-controlled city of Shrebinivka and Novopasky, Russians would have hard time to attack here themselves, and this works well in Ukrainian favor. As long as Russians are busy in this area, they will not help their comrades attacking those two said cities from the north, thus making Russian assaults in this area less effective. With this, I end today's video. Hopefully it was to your liking and was informative enough. Hopefully I will be able to make a full return on YouTube, so please support the video and help my channel recover. Thank you so much for all of your support. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day, and always remember, Russia will be free and great.